The Forgotten Past. 3,000 years ago, Earth was humanity's proud home, a planet full of life, hope, and dreams. People thrived, building great cities, exploring the universe, and creating wonders. But all of that ended when the Vornax arrived. They were a ruthless alien race, hungry for power and domination. With advanced weapons and technology, they attacked Earth without warning, leaving destruction in their wake. The humans fought back, brave and desperate. But their weapons were no match for the Vornax strength. Cities crumbled, oceans burned, and forests turned to ash. Billions of lives were lost, and the survivors had no choice but to flee. They escaped into space, scattering across distant planets and star systems. Earth was left behind, broken and conquered. The Vornax claimed Earth as their own. They turned it into a fortress, building massive structures where once there were human cities. They erased every trace of humanity, leaving only ruins to remind the stars of their victory. For generations, humans lived as wanderers, calling themselves the forgotten children of Earth. Captain Mira was one of those children. She was born on the cold, metal decks of a ship called Eternal Hope. Her parents, like many others, grew up hearing stories of Earth, stories of blue skies, green fields, and a golden sun. But Mira had only ever seen pictures. To her, Earth was just a myth, a dream from the past. Mira was no ordinary captain. She was fearless, determined, and loyal to her people. She had spent years protecting human colonies from pirates, alien threats, and starvation. But deep inside, she felt a hole in her heart. She couldn't explain it, but something called to her, something from the past. One day, while on patrol in a quiet corner of space, her ship picked up a strange signal. It was faint, barely noticeable, but Mira's sharp instincts caught it. "What is that?" she asked, leaning closer to the monitor. "It's coming from the direction of Earth," her communications officer replied, disbelief in his voice. The crew froze. Earth was a dead planet, a place no human dared to go. The Vornax guarded it fiercely, and no one had heard anything from Earth in over 3,000 years. Mira's heart raced. "Can we decode the signal?" she asked. The officer nodded. "It will take time, but yes, Captain." Hours passed as the crew worked to decode the message. Mira paced the bridge, her mind filled with questions. Who could be sending a signal from Earth? Was it a trap? A cry for help? Finally, the officer spoke. "Captain, we've got something. It's a message." The room went silent as the decoded words appeared on the screen. "Humans, return. Home." Mira's hands clenched into fists. She felt a surge of emotions, hope, anger, and determination. "Prepare a report for the Human Council," she ordered. "We're going to find out what's happening on Earth." The Human Council was a group of leaders who governed the scattered colonies. They were cautious, always choosing survival over risks. When Mira presented the signal to them, their reaction was predictable. "This is madness," one council member said. "The Vornax still control Earth. We cannot risk our people's lives." Mira's voice was steady but firm. "We've spent 3,000 years running and hiding. If there's even a chance that someone or something is calling us back, we have to investigate." Another member shook his head. "And what if it's a trap? What if the Vornax are luring us into a slaughter?" Mira's eyes blazed with determination. "We can't keep living in fear. Earth is our home. If we don't take back what's ours, then we've already lost." Despite her passionate plea, the council voted against her. They deemed the mission too dangerous. But Mira was not a woman to give up easily. Back on her ship, she gathered her closest crew members. "The council won't help us," she said, her voice low but resolute. "But I won't abandon this mission. Are you with me?" One by one, her crew nodded. They trusted Mira with their lives, and they shared her dream of reclaiming Earth. "We'll need to move in secret," Mira continued. "A small team, a stealth ship, and enough supplies for a long journey. If anyone wants to back out, now's the time." No one backed out. As preparations began, Mira felt a mix of excitement and fear. This was more than a mission. It was a chance to rewrite history, to reclaim what was stolen, to bring hope to a broken people. Standing on the bridge of the newly prepared stealth ship, Vindicator, Mira stared at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, waiting for her. She didn't know what she would find, but she knew one thing. She would fight for her home, no matter the cost. And so, the journey began. A new hope. The Vindicator hummed softly in the darkness of space, its stealth systems activated. Captain Mira stood on the bridge, gazing at the star map. Earth lay on the edge of hostile territory, deep within the heart of the Vornak-controlled zone. This wasn't just a mission. It was a gamble with everything on the line. Mira's first officer, Lieutenant Rylan, approached her with a grim expression. "The stealth modules are operational, Captain, but we only have enough power for 2 uses. If we're spotted by the Vornax, there's no backup plan." Mira nodded, her voice steady. "We'll make it count. The Council may not believe in this mission, but I do. Earth is calling to us, and I won't ignore it." As the Vindicator left the safety of human-controlled space, the crew felt the weight of the journey. Dr. Elin, the ship's scientist, was running tests on the mysterious signal from Earth. "This signal is old," she said, frowning at her screen. "Centuries old, but it's being boosted by something, or someone. The technology doesn't match anything we've seen before." Rylan leaned over her shoulder. Could it be human tech? Something left behind? Elin shook her head. It's advanced, far beyond anything humanity had before the fall. If it's human, we're looking at something from a forgotten age. The room fell silent. If the signal wasn't from humans, who or what was sending it? 3 days into their journey, the Vindicator encountered its first challenge. A Vornak scout ship appeared on their long-range sensors. The alien vessel was massive compared to the sleek Vindicator, bristling with weapons and scanners. "We can't let them see us," Mira said, her voice sharp. "Activate the cloaking field." The ship shimmered and vanished from sight, blending into the void. The crew held their breath as the Vornak scout drew closer, its powerful scanners sweeping the area. "Captain," Rylan whispered, "if they detect us, we're done." Mira's jaw tightened. "Hold steady. No sudden moves." The scout ship hovered dangerously close, its searchlights piercing the darkness. Seconds stretched into eternity as the Vornak scanned the area. Finally, the alien ship turned and moved away, disappearing into the distance. The crew let out a collective sigh of relief, but Mira remained tense. "That was too close," she said. "We'll need to be smarter from here on." A day later, the Vindicator reached the outer edge of the solar system. The crew stared in awe as the remnants of human history came into view. The ruins of ancient space stations floated silently, their broken hulls reflecting faint starlight. Debris from long-forgotten battles drifted like ghosts in the void. "This is it," Mira said softly, her voice tinged with both sadness and resolve. Elin studied the readings on her console. "The signal is getting stronger. It's definitely coming from Earth's surface. But there's interference. It's almost like someone doesn't want us to find it. Or someone is hiding it," Rylan added. Mira straightened. "Set course for Earth. We're going home." As they approached Earth, the crew was struck by its appearance. The planet was unrecognizable. Once vibrant and full of life, it now lay cloaked in darkness. The atmosphere was choked with storm clouds, and vast areas of the surface glowed faintly with unnatural light. "Scans show massive Vornak fortresses on the surface," Elin reported. "They've turned Earth into a military base. No wonder the Council was afraid to come back." Mira's eyes burned with determination. "We're not the Council. Prepare for descent. Find us a place to land where we won't be detected." The Vindicator entered the atmosphere, its stealth systems training to mask its presence. Mira's crew worked tirelessly, navigating the dangerous storms and avoiding Vornak patrols. Finally, they found a hidden canyon surrounded by mountains, far from the alien strongholds. The ship touched down, and the crew prepared to explore. Mira gathered her team, her voice firm. "We've come this far. We're not turning back now. Stay sharp, stay together, and remember why we're here." The first steps on Earth were heavy with emotion. The ground was cold and lifeless, covered in ash and dust. The air smelled of decay, and the ruins of human civilization loomed like skeletons in the shadows. Rylan knelt by a rusted metal structure, wiping away the grime to reveal an inscription. It was a plaque from an old human monument, barely readable. "For a brighter tomorrow." "This was once our world," he said quietly. "And they took it from us." Mira placed a hand on his shoulder. "We'll make them pay. But first, we need answers." Dr. Eland's equipment picked up the signal again, stronger than ever. "It's coming from underground," she said. "There's a massive energy source beneath us. If we follow it, we might find out who or what is sending this signal." Mira nodded. "Then we move out. This is just the beginning." As the team ventured deeper into the ruins, the sense of unease grew. Every shadow felt alive. Every sound echoed with menace. But Mira pressed on, her heart set on uncovering the truth. For the first time in centuries, humans had set foot on Earth, and whatever waited below, Mira was ready to face it. The hidden truth. The ruins of Earth stretched out before them like a forgotten dream, its silence almost oppressive. As Captain Mira and her team made their way through the desolate landscape, the weight of the mission grew heavier. Every step seemed to stir ancient memories, memories of a world lost, and the promise of revenge that pushed them forward. "We've never seen anything like this," Dr. Eland whispered, her voice filled with awe and unease. "These ruins, they don't match anything the Vornax would build." Mira nodded, her eyes scanning the horizon. The wreckage around them wasn't like the cold, mechanical structures of the Vornax. These were once human cities, homes, parks, places of learning, now reduced to shattered remnants. Yet there was something undeniably strange about the destruction. It wasn't just the force of a battle. It was as if Earth had been deliberately erased, the memories of humanity's civilization wiped away. "There's more to this than we understand," Mira said, her voice firm. "We need to find that signal." "Elan, is it still coming from below?" Elan nodded, her handheld device glowing faintly. "Yes, the source is down there, deep beneath the surface. It's unlike any energy source we've ever encountered. The readings keep fluctuating, almost like it's alive." Mira's heart skipped a beat. An energy source that was alive. Could it be? She shook the thought away. "We don't have time for guesses. We're going in." The team reached an old underground tunnel system, its entrance hidden beneath a collapsed building. The passageways were dark and narrow, the air thick with the scent of mildew and decay. As they descended, the silence was broken only by the sound of their footsteps, echoing through the corridors like distant whispers. Rylan, leading the way, paused at a strange set of markings on the wall. "What are these?" he asked, running his fingers along the smooth surface. "They look like writing," Elan said, stepping closer to examine them. "But it's not human. This is alien." Mira squinted at the markings. They seemed to pulse with an eerie, soft light, as if they were alive, responding to the touch. "Can you read it?" she asked. Elan frowned. "Not directly. But it's similar to some Vornax symbols we've seen in the past, though far more ancient. It's almost as if the Vornax have been here longer than we thought." A chill ran down Mira's spine. She hadn't come to Earth just to find out about alien symbols. They were looking for humanity's past, and for the signal that might explain everything. "We keep moving," Mira ordered. "We're getting close." As they ventured deeper, the temperature dropped, and the air grew thick with static. The signal was stronger now, clearer, almost as if it were reaching out to them. The walls of the tunnel began to change. The smooth stone gave way to strange, metallic surfaces that hummed with energy. "This doesn't feel right," Rylan muttered, glancing nervously around. It feels like we're walking into something, Ilan added, her voice trembling slightly. Something that's been waiting for us. Mira's mind raced. Could the Vornax have left something behind? Some remnant of their invasion? Or was this something older? Something buried for millennia? Suddenly, the tunnel opened into a vast chamber, the size of a small city. At the center of the room stood an enormous structure, covered in glowing symbols. It was unlike anything Mira had ever seen. Part machine, part living organism. The air around it seemed to pulse with energy. And the signal was coming from inside. We found it, Ilan breathed, her eyes wide with disbelief. Whatever this is, it's what's been sending the signal. The team approached cautiously, their weapons ready, though they knew there was no way to prepare for what lay ahead. As Mira stepped closer, the strange structure hummed, its lights flickering in response to their presence. This wasn't built by the Vornax, Mira said softly. It's something else. A voice broke the silence. Humanity has returned. Mira froze. The voice was soft, melodic, yet carried an undeniable authority. It wasn't coming from a speaker, but from the structure itself. Who's there? Mira demanded, her voice steady despite the fear creeping up her spine. I am an ancient guardian, the voice replied. I have watched over this world since before the Vornax arrived. And now, the time has come for you to learn the truth. The walls of the chamber lit up, revealing a vast mural on the far side. It depicted scenes from Earth's past, human civilization thriving, reaching for the stars, then falling. But there was more. An alien presence, something even older than the Vornax, watching, waiting, and then, finally, intervening. Ilan gasped. This is not Vornax technology. This is older than anything we know. It predates even human civilization. The voice spoke again. I was created by your ancestors, long before the rise of your great cities. They knew the Vornax would come, and they left me behind to protect the secrets of Earth. For centuries, I have waited for the right moment. Mira's heart pounded. What secrets? What did humanity leave behind? The voice paused, as if weighing its next words carefully. The Vornax did not destroy Earth as you believe. They came for a different purpose, to steal your heritage. The true power of Earth lies in what you have forgotten. Mira's mind raced. Earth was not just a planet. It was a weapon, a source of power. But the question remained, why? Before she could ask, the structure suddenly shifted, and the ground beneath their feet began to tremble. The murals on the walls began to glow brighter, more intensely. The voice echoed once more. Humanity must remember its legacy. Only then can you take back what was stolen. Suddenly, alarms blared, and the walls seemed to close in. The Vornax had found them. We have to go. Now, Rylan shouted. Mira didn't hesitate. Take the path back to the surface. Now. As they sprinted through the tunnels, the echoes of the structure's voice haunted Mira's thoughts. Humanity had forgotten its legacy. But it wasn't too late, and Earth had secrets that, if unlocked, could change everything. The hidden truth. The tunnels of the ancient underground complex trembled beneath the weight of the Vornax forces closing in. Mira and her team ran, hearts pounding, their boots echoing on the metal floors. The voice from the mysterious structure still lingered in her mind, a cryptic warning that humanity's forgotten legacy could be the key to reclaiming Earth. But time was running out, and the Vornax were relentless. We can't outrun them forever. Rylan called out, his voice strained. We need a way to stop them. Mira didn't answer immediately. She was already calculating their next move. They had come so far, uncovered secrets that could change everything. And now the Vornax were on their tail, eager to silence them. They couldn't let that happen. Dr. Ilan, what did the voice mean? Mira asked, trying to focus on their escape. What power did humanity leave behind? Ilan's face was pale, her breathing rapid. I don't know, Captain. That structure, it was more than just a building. It was a live, ancient technology from a time before even the Vornax. If humanity truly built it, then they must have understood something about energy, something beyond anything we've seen. We need that power, Mira said. We need to find it before the Vornax do. The team reached the surface just as the rumble of Vornax ships grew louder. Their stealth had kept them hidden until now, but the heavy footsteps of alien forces were unmistakable, reverberating through the cracked streets of what was once a human city. The once glorious skyline of Earth was now little more than a shattered skeleton of its former self, with towering spires of Vornax technology protruding like foreign growths from the ashes of human civilization. Raylan turned to Mira, determination in his eyes. We don't have much time. What's the plan? Mira scanned the surroundings. There were few places left to hide. The Vornax had taken complete control of the planet, leaving no safe zones for humanity. They had to fight, but they also had to learn what the voice meant, what power humanity had left behind. Elin, can you locate the structure again? Mira asked, her mind working quickly. Elin nodded, pulling out a small device. Yes, but the signal is fluctuating. It's coming from a central location, but there's interference. Something is blocking it. We'll need to get closer. Mira looked toward the horizon. There, nestled between the twisted remnants of once great cities, she saw something that made her blood run cold. A Vornax flagship, hovering ominously in the sky. They had come to silence them, permanently. We can't let them find us, Mira said firmly. We'll make our way to the structure's power source. We'll deal with the Vornax after. The team moved quickly, staying in the shadows as they navigated through the wreckage of the fallen city. The streets were littered with human artifacts, pieces of a forgotten world. Mira couldn't help but feel a pang of grief with each step. The world she had heard of in stories, the Earth that had once been a paradise, was gone. All that remained was ruin. As they approached a massive crater in the heart of the city, Elen's device beeped louder, signaling that they were close. In the center of the crater, an enormous dark structure rose from the ground. Twisted, jagged, and pulsating with energy. It looked like nothing the Vornax had built. It was alive. Is this it? Rylan asked, his voice filled with awe. Elin stepped forward, her eyes wide. Yes, this is it. This is the source. Mira's heart raced. The strange energy from earlier was stronger now. It was calling to them. She could feel it in her bones. We need to get inside, Mira said, her voice commanding. There's something in there that will give us answers. As they entered the structure, the air grew thick with static. The walls seemed to shift, alive with energy. The team moved cautiously, their senses heightened. The deeper they went, the more the environment changed. It was as if the place was reawakening, responding to their presence. Suddenly, a voice echoed from within the walls, a familiar voice, the one that had spoken to them earlier. Welcome, children of Earth. You have found what was lost. Mira's pulse quickened. Who are you? She demanded. What is this place? I am the Keeper, the voice replied. A creation of your ancestors. I was left behind to guard the power of your people, the power that can defeat the Vornax. Elin's eyes widened. The power. Is this what we were meant to find? Yes, the Keeper said. But you must understand that to wield this power comes with great cost. The Vornax seek it because they know what it can do. It can destroy them, but it can also destroy you. Mira clenched her fists. We don't have a choice. The Vornax must be stopped. They've taken everything from us. The Keeper's voice softened. You are right, Captain. But be warned. The power of Earth is not something that can be controlled easily. It will take everything you have to unlock it. Do you truly wish to pay that price? Mira looked at her team, her heart heavy with the weight of the decision. They had come this far, but the final step would not be easy. We'll do what it takes, she said, her voice firm. "We're not leaving here without what we came for." The Keeper's energy filled the chamber, flooding their minds with images of the past, humanity's history, their triumphs, their mistakes, and their final sacrifice, unfolded before them. They saw the creation of the structure, built not just to protect but to empower. The energy inside it was not just technology. It was a force of nature, born from the planet itself, a weapon capable of reshaping the balance of power in the galaxy. But as the vision faded, Mira felt a chill. She understood now. The power was humanity's gift, but it was also a curse. It could tear the Vornax apart, yes, but it could also tear Earth itself apart if misused. "We have to use it wisely," she said, her voice filled with a new resolve. "No matter the cost." And with that, they began the process of unlocking the ancient power that could finally bring justice to Earth. But little did they know, the Vornax were closing in, ready to stop them at any cost. The resistance awakens. The ancient structure's pulse resonated deep in Mira's chest as the team moved forward, the weight of their mission heavier than ever. The Keeper's words echoed in her mind. The power could destroy them all. But the Vornax were closing in, and humanity's future hung in the balance. They had no choice but to awaken the power within the Earth's heart. The chamber they stood in had begun to hum with energy, its walls shifting like a living organism, revealing pathways lined with strange symbols and glowing conduits. As Mira's team moved deeper into the core of the structure, Elend's device crackled with life, indicating they were near the source. "It's here," Elend said, her voice breathless with excitement and fear. "This is where the power lies." Mira looked around, her eyes narrowing. The deeper they went, the more the atmosphere seemed to warp and bend with energy. It felt like the very air was charged with the force of 1,000 storms, yet it was calm, too calm. She couldn't shake the feeling that they weren't alone. "We need to be ready," she muttered to Rylan, who was scanning their surroundings. Rylan gripped his weapon tightly. "Captain, we're not the only ones who want this power." Mira nodded grimly. The Vornax would never let them unlock Earth's power. They'd come for the same reason, to use it for their own ends. Back on the surface, the Vornak Reaver flagship had entered Earth's orbit, its ominous silhouette blocking out the faint light of distant stars. On board, Commander Zarthan stood before a vast holographic display, his cold, alien eyes fixed on the reading from the ground. There, Zarthan hissed. "The humans are awakening the source. We cannot allow them to succeed." His second-in-command, a sharp-featured Vornak officer named Chlor, bowed. "Shall we deploy the ground forces, Commander?" Zartham considered this for a moment, his long fingers tapping rhythmically on his armor. "No, we'll take the fight to them ourselves. If the humans awaken the power of Earth, they will be unstoppable. We cannot let that happen." With that, he turned, heading toward the hangar where the elite Vornak shock troops awaited. It was time to end this once and for all. Back underground, Mira and her team reached the heart of the structure. Before them stood an enormous crystalline core, pulsating with energy. It was a sight unlike anything they had ever seen, pure power, raw and untamed, as if it was the very soul of Earth itself. "We found it," Elend whispered in awe. "This is it, the power of Earth." Mira stepped forward cautiously. The closer they got, the more the energy seemed to affect them. Her skin prickled, and her thoughts became clearer, sharper, almost too sharp. It was as if the very structure was reading their minds, responding to their desires. The energy felt alive, and it beckoned her, calling to her soul. "I've never felt anything like this," Elend said, her voice trembling. It's like the planet is alive." Rylan gripped his weapon tighter, glancing around warily. "It's dangerous. We need to be careful." Suddenly, the walls around them began to pulse, and a deep mechanical hum filled the chamber. The structure was waking up. Mira stepped forward and placed her hand on the core. Almost immediately, the entire room seemed to come alive with power, swirling energy flooding the air. Then the voice of the keeper echoed in their minds again. You have unlocked the power of Earth, but be warned, it is not without cost. The Vornax will come, and they will stop at nothing to take what is yours. Mira felt the weight of the words as if they were a physical force pressing down on her chest. The Vornax were already on their way, and once they reached the core, all would be lost. We have to defend it, Mira said, her voice firm. Elin, Rylan, get ready. We hold this position no matter what. On the surface, Zarthun's forces began to land, their heavy boots crashing against the cracked streets of Earth's ruined cities. The shock troops poured from the dropships, forming tight battle lines, their weapons charged and ready. Clor, beside Zarthun, surveyed the destruction ahead. The humans are inside. It won't be long now before we destroy their last hope. Zarthun's eyes glowed with cruel anticipation. We will reclaim what is ours. Their power will be ours to command. Let us show them the true meaning of destruction. With a wave of his hand, the Vornax began to move, heading toward the underground structure with the precision of a deadly machine. They would tear through any resistance in their path and seize control of Earth's greatest weapon. Back at the heart of the structure, Mira and her team fortified their position. They could hear the sounds of battle above ground, the distant thrum of alien ships preparing to attack. The Vornax were coming. We don't have much time, Rylan said, his voice tense. Once they reach us, we'll be overrun. Mira clenched her fists, her mind racing. We've come too far to fail now. Elin, can you unlock the core's full potential? Elin was staring at the energy core, her eyes wide with wonder and fear. I think so. But the core is unstable. If I try to harness all its power, there's no telling what could happen. We don't have a choice, Mira said. We need to take the Vornax down. All of them. With a shaky breath, Elin stepped forward, her fingers hovering above the core's control panel. I'll do it. As Elin activated the core, a surge of energy filled the room, crackling and humming as it built to an unbearable crescendo. The walls began to shake, and Mira felt the ground rumble beneath her feet. The core was unlocking, its power surging outward like a wave of destruction. Then the Vornax broke through. The chamber doors exploded, the force of the blast sending Mira and her team sprawling to the ground. The Vornax had arrived. Zarthun and Clor stood at the entrance, their weapons raised, their eyes filled with murderous intent. It's over, Zarthun hissed, his voice cold. Surrender now, and I may allow you to live. The power of Earth will be mine. Mira struggled to her feet, her vision blurry but her resolve unshaken. You'll never take Earth from us. She raised her weapon, and with a defiant shout, she fired. The battle for Earth had only just begun. The final stand. The air inside the chamber crackled with energy, the power from Earth's heart flooding the room. Mira's heart pounded in her chest as she locked eyes with Zarthun, the Vornak commander who had led the invasion that destroyed Earth and scattered humanity across the stars. The room felt like it was about to burst, the tension thick as the Vornax advanced. We're not surrendering to you, Mira said, her voice steady despite the chaos. Her hands gripped the weapon tightly, the weight of her mission clear in her mind. This wasn't just about surviving anymore. It was about reclaiming Earth, her people's birthright. Zarthun's lips curled into a cold, calculating smile. How quaint, but it will do you no good. You have awakened a force you cannot control, human. You cannot hope to defeat us now. The room shook again as the energy from the core pulsed wildly, the power building in the heart of the structure. Elin's hands were trembling, but she didn't stop. She had activated the core, but now it was growing unstable, the energy threatening to tear the entire place apart. We have no choice, Elin said, her voice tight with fear and determination. I can't hold it much longer. We need to stop them, or this entire place will collapse. Mira glanced quickly at the team. Rylan, who was already setting up defenses, and Elin, her mind racing as she tried to control the power of the core. time was running out. "Hold your ground," Mira ordered. "We'll fight them to the end." Zarthan's troops moved like shadows, their black armor blending with the darkness of the ruined chamber. Their weapons whirred to life, lethal and silent. The Vornak shock troopers fanned out, ready to obliterate anything in their path. But Mira and her team were prepared. The Vindicator might have been the weapon they needed, but it was the human spirit, the will to fight for what was theirs. That was their real power. Mira signaled, and Rylan unleashed a burst of fire, sending a volley of plasma shots across the room. The Vornaks ducked and dodged, but their numbers were starting to thin. Elan, though, was the key. "Elan," Mira shouted, "we need more power. Take the core to its maximum." Elan's eyes were wide with shock. "If I do that, it could trigger a chain reaction. The entire facility will be destroyed." "We don't have a choice," Mira yelled back. "We can't let them win." Elan closed her eyes, focusing as the room trembled again. The energy in the core began to surge, sending arcs of electricity cascading across the walls. The ground shook beneath them, and a loud, deafening hum filled the air. Zarthan watched the chaos unfold with a look of distaste, his hand tightening on the hilt of his blade. "Foolish humans," he muttered before turning to Clor. "Prepare the anti-energy cannons. We'll bring this structure down and crush them all." Clor nodded, moving quickly to comply. The Vornaks knew they couldn't allow the humans to gain control of the core. They had to end this. The battle escalated quickly. Mira, Rylan, and Elan fought with everything they had, but the Vornaks were relentless. The shock troopers advanced, their weapons blazing with plasma fire. It was a fight for survival, and the power of Earth surged around them like a storm. Mira's focus sharpened as the room became a battlefield. She fired her weapon again, striking down one of the Vornak soldiers, but the enemy kept coming. Rylan fired bursts from his blaster, knocking back several more Vornak troops, but their numbers were overwhelming. Mira's eyes scanned the room for a way to gain the upper hand. She couldn't risk Elan's safety, not with the core at the center of the conflict. "Raylan, cover me," she shouted, dashing forward toward the core. Her breath came fast, adrenaline pumping through her veins. Every step felt like it could be her last, but she knew there was no turning back now. The future of Earth rested in her hands. As Mira approached the core, a sudden blast threw her backward, slamming her into the ground. Pain exploded in her chest, but she pushed through it, struggling to her feet. Zarthan stood at the far end of the room, his dark eyes filled with cold determination. "You think you can control what is beyond your understanding. You are nothing but insects, scurrying in the dark." Mira's vision blurred, but she locked eyes with him, her anger fueling her. "This is our world," she growled, "and we will take it back." With renewed strength, she rose and charged toward Zarthan, determined to stop him from disabling the core. Her weapon discharged once more, striking the Vornak commander, but his armor absorbed the blast with ease. Zarthan laughed, stepping forward, his massive sword drawn. "You fight bravely, but you are foolish. This is where humanity falls." In the distance, Elan's voice echoed through the chamber. "I can't hold it anymore. The core is going critical." Mira's heart skipped a beat. She couldn't let Zarthan win. Not now. With everything she had, Mira leaped forward, landing on Zarthan's armored chest and knocking him off balance. In a flash, she grabbed his blade, forcing him back with all her might. Rylan and Elan followed, supporting her as they fought side by side. The chamber shook again, but this time, it wasn't just the Vornak's assault. It was the power of Earth, reaching its peak. The entire facility seemed to pulse with energy, as if the planet itself was awakening, responding to humanity's call. With one final, desperate push, Mira drove the Vornak commander back, knocking his weapon from his hand. Zarthan staggered, disoriented. This was their chance. Mira grabbed the blade, striking down at the Vornak leader. But before she could deliver the final blow, The ground beneath them cracked open, and the core erupted with blinding light. The Vornak's final push had been too late. As the blinding energy of Earth's power consumed the chamber, Mira's team retreated, the ground shaking violently beneath their feet. The structure was collapsing. But they had done it. The Vornaks were defeated. Earth had awakened, and with it, humanity's hope for the future. Mira turned to her team, bloody but resolute. "We've won. We've reclaimed Earth." But as they watched the crumbling structure, the stars above, a new threat loomed on the horizon. The battle for Earth might have been won, but the war for the galaxy had just begun. A new dawn. The collapse of the ancient structure sent shockwaves through the ground, shaking the very core of Earth. The chamber, once a symbol of power and mystery, was now nothing more than a ruined wreck, consumed by the energy it had held for millennia. The light from the core faded, but its aftermath lingered, echoing through the air like the final note of a song. Mira stood at the edge of the crumbling ruins, staring at the destruction. Her body ached, covered in dirt and blood, but the feeling in her chest was something else, something deeper. They had done it. Against all odds, humanity had taken back Earth. "We did it," Ryland said, his voice hoarse. "We stopped them." Mira nodded, but didn't answer immediately. Her mind was already racing, contemplating what lay ahead. The Vornaks had been pushed back, but they had only scratched the surface of a much larger conflict. Earth was free for now, but the galaxy was still out of reach. And the power that had awakened in the heart of the planet, though they had used it to defeat the Vornaks, was something far more dangerous than any weapon they had ever encountered. Elon, still visibly shaken but determined, approached Mira. "Captain, the core's energy is stable for now, but I don't know how long it will last. It's too unpredictable. It could collapse again, or worse, attract more attention." Mira's gaze fixed on the horizon, where the faint outline of the Vornak Reaver flagship still hovered, its massive shadow stretching across the sky. The battle may have been won, but the war was far from over. The Vornaks were only the beginning. "We'll need to move quickly," Mira said, her voice full of resolve. "We can't stay here. The Vornaks will regroup, and others will come. We'll need to fortify what we have left and rebuild. Earth is ours, but we need to be ready for whatever's next." Ryland nodded. "Where do we start?" Mira turned to face her team, her eyes unwavering. "We rebuild Earth's defenses, and we find the rest of our people. There are still colonies out there. We need to unite humanity once and for all. The Vornaks aren't the only threat. If the galaxy is going to survive, humanity will have to rise again." The days that followed were filled with chaos and determination. Mira's team worked tirelessly to repair what was left of the ruined cities, gathering resources and fortifying their position. The Vindicator was the only ship capable of traveling beyond Earth's atmosphere, and it would be their key to bringing humanity back together. Elon, working with the best scientists and engineers they had left, continued to study the core's power. "It's a power unlike any other," she said one night, her voice filled with awe. "We've barely begun to understand what it is. This energy is alive. It's not just technology, it's part of the planet itself. We've awakened something ancient, something that was meant to be hidden. Who knows what else Earth holds?" Mira stood beside her, watching the stars overhead. The quiet hum of the core's energy was all around them, filling the air with an eerie calm. She could feel it too. The planet was alive with potential, but it was a power that came with a price. "We'll need to be careful," Mira said. "We can't use this power recklessly. It could change everything, but it could also destroy us." Weeks passed, and Earth began to heal. The remaining Vornak forces had retreated, licking their wounds, but the battle had only delayed their inevitable return. Mira knew it was only a matter of time before the aliens regrouped and launched another attack. But there was more at play here than just Earth's survival. Mira had seen the bigger picture. One evening, while overlooking the rebuilt city, Mira gathered her team. They stood on the balcony of a makeshift command center, watching the sun set over the horizon. "We have a chance," she said. "A chance to unite the rest of humanity. We've fought so long in the shadows, hiding from the Vornex, running from our past. Now it's time to stand. We're not just taking Earth back, we're taking the fight to them." Ryland stepped forward, his voice full of confidence. "I've been talking with the other colonies. We have ships, resources. It's time to bring everyone home." Elin nodded, her eyes wide with excitement. "If we harness the energy of the core, we could have the power to defend Earth, maybe even strike back at the Vornex before they attack." Mira's mind raced. The power was immense, but they would need to be strategic. "We'll need allies," she said. "The galaxy is full of enemies, not just the Vornex. We can't do this alone." Mira stood before the council of the scattered human colonies, her voice filled with both passion and urgency. "We've waited long enough. Earth is the heart of humanity. We are stronger than we've ever been, and if we unite, we can stand against anything. The Vornex may have thought they defeated us, but they made a mistake. We are not defeated. We are just getting started." The council members, who had once been too scared to act, now listened. Their faces, weathered by years of isolation and fear, began to soften. The spark of hope was reigniting in their eyes. One of the council leaders, a grizzled veteran named Commander Valen, stood up. "You speak of unity, but we've been scattered for so long. How can we trust each other again?" Mira's gaze met his, unflinching. "We don't have the luxury of time anymore. We either stand together, or we fall apart. The Vornex will return, and when they do, they'll be ready for us. We need to strike first, take back what they stole from us. We need to rebuild humanity." Valen's eyes narrowed, and for a long moment, he didn't speak. Then, finally, he nodded. "You're right. It's time to fight." The room was silent for a moment, the weight of their decision hanging in the air. Then, one by one, the council members rose. The rebellion had begun. Mira stood at the head of the table, her heart full of determination. "We're not just fighting for Earth, we're fighting for every human out there, scattered across the stars. For those who've been waiting for this day, for those who believe that humanity has a future, we will rebuild, and we will reclaim our place in the galaxy." As the council began to plan their next steps, Mira looked out the window, the stars twinkling brightly above. Earth was free, but the fight was far from over. A new chapter was beginning, one where humanity would rise, united and stronger than ever before. And somewhere, in the far reaches of space, the Vornex were already preparing for the next great battle. But this time, they would face humanity as one, unbroken, unyielding, and ready to reclaim their rightful place in the galaxy.